And right now we're going to talk about the Starbucks union siding with Hamas. My God. We were going to talk about this the other day, last week. Mark Mix, president of the Right to Work Foundation, but Mark was too busy playing Buck with Fat Albert and couldn't join us.
Vic, I'm going to send you a new copy of Bill Cosby is a very funny fellow from 1969.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
That's okay. Just don't hit me in the face with a slush ball like Junior Barnes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
It goes down to through your 5 pair of corduroy or 4
Oh, my God, yes. 5 pair of corduroy. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby turned out to be a scumbag. He was pretty funny guy. All right, so first of all, the baristas at Starbucks unionize, right? When that happened, we all said, what could possibly go wrong? And now we're learning what could possibly go wrong.
Yeah, Vic, it's interesting. First of all, very few of them have unionized. Starbucks has over 16,000 stores in the United States, over 9,500 corporate stores, and the unions are, at this point, saying they've got about 340 units that they've won elections. I don't think they've got a first contract yet, but they've won elections at 340. They've lost elections in, I think, around 70, and they've withdrawn from 40. So it's a story that is out of all proportion to the numbers, but it goes back to the question, Vic, you and Ken and I have talked about over the years, and that is the union forcing people to associate with them and then being so callous about their forced unionism powers that they start talking about things that have nothing to do with the workplace. And here's another example of it. This is the Starbucks Workers Union that is an affiliate of the Service Employees International Union, which is a big union based here in Washington, D.C. That's the back office operation for this union that's representing baristas. And they're out there talking about, foreign policy and politics like this. And certainly, there's no question the story of Israel and Hamas is leading the news, but I don't know what it's doing in the workplace and what it has to do with bargaining contracts for coffee makers.
This is the thing, too, and this is why I like the Right to Work Foundation Committee. Exactly what you said, Mark. Somebody who is a barista who works at Starbucks at one of these union shops, whose union is supporting Hamas, and if they don't support Hamas, then people think you do support Hamas, and that's not fair to that individual barista.
Yeah, that's right. And Vic, we've got another case that's up in New York right now at the City University of New York on behalf of 5 Jewish professors that teach at the university that are subjected to associate themselves with a union there that has come out and called for the elimination of Israel and basically is attacked everything about their culture, their religion, their homeland, whatever it is. And this has nothing to do with what's going on at the university, what they're teaching. Well, it may go on with something they're teaching. We don't know that, but it's likely it is, unfortunately, now that I think about that for a minute. But the bottom line is this, they're forced to associate. And to your point, I mean, with these coffee baristas, if they want to associate with you, that's one thing. But I don't know if they're buying into the politics. And I think, Starbucks has basically told the union to say, stop using our logo. They created a Starbucks United logo, and they pushed this Hamas statement out over that. And so Starbucks has threatened some litigation over that. But here it is. You've got this organization or this small group of people that claim to speak for all of the people they allegedly represent, and they talk about politics instead of workplace issues.
So, Mark, pardon my ignorance here. University professors are unionized?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, Vic. I mean, I didn't mean to shock you this morning. I shock you and Ken, but yeah, no.
That's okay.
In fact, the United Auto Workers Union strike. It's interesting when you look at the UAW strike, and obviously Missouri's had an impact with the Wentzville facility. But I think a larger proportion of UAW members are actually graduate assistants and academics than are auto workers. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Mark, what I noticed and I thought was a little interesting about this happening with the workers of Starbucks being unionized, they thought, we're going to put our big boy pants on and we're going to really compete against the ownership of Starbucks. But then when they did this thing with Hamas, Starbucks started suing people, and they said, oh, well, I guess we are the big boys now. I guess we can be sued as well. I mean, didn't they do that? Didn't Starbucks sue them for something?
Yeah, Ken, I don't know if they actually filed a lawsuit. They threatened it because there was a trademark violation. I think they were using a logo that was very similar to Starbucks' logo when they were pushing out this union message. And I don't know whether it actually consummated in an actual lawsuit, but there was certainly a threat of that. And, the union officials, not necessarily the rank and file workers or the baristas, but the union officials are challenging, this company that just 4 years ago was voted the most progressive, company in America, the best company in America to work for. And all of a sudden, once the union steps in and decides they want to organize people and force them to pay dues or fees and associate with them, all of a sudden Starbucks is this capitalist, greedy corporation. And the fact is they just don't square, except for the rhetoric of the moment where union officials are trying to find a revenue stream from coffee baristas.
They're kind of cannibalizing themselves.
Yeah, indeed.
So, Mark, do we know Starbucks Corporation, right? The company, where they stand on this? Israel, Hamas? Or we don't.
Well, I think they put out a statement saying that they don't agree at all with the union's use of this particular platform to put out these messages, and they back off. And as Ken mentioned, they threatened lawsuits. Whether they filed one or not, I don't know. But the bottom line is they actually walked it back and said you can't speak and represent yourself as being us. And I think they did put out a statement. Starbucks did, and they strongly condemned the anti-Semitism of the union officials.
Okay, so here's what bothers me, Mark. A Jewish person, right, man or woman, walks into a Starbucks. You don't know when you walk into a Starbucks if they're one of the union stores or not, right? So if you walk in there to get a cup of coffee and it is one of the union shops and you're getting a cup of coffee from somebody who wishes you were dead.
Yeah, that is concerning, and we do see those stories, and fortunately they're not a large number of them. But the stories where people in that service business like that tend to take out their frustrations and their positions on people that may be the customers, and that would be really unfortunate. And again, why in the world does the union need to take a position on what's happening in the Middle East when they should be trying to negotiate a contract and making good on the promises they promise these people to vote for them? And Vic, that's another issue. We've got 8 Starbucks units from across the country that are trying to get rid of the union as opposed to trying to find a way to be unionized, because all the promises that the union officials made at the front end of the election just haven't come true. And frankly, the other part of that story is the Service Employees International Union spent about $2.5 million to hire what they call union salts. These are people that are employees of the union, getting paid by the union, agents of the union, that their primary mission is to go get a job at a Starbucks, agitate for unionization, and once they win the election, they move on to another unit. We had someone testify in Congress about that. They were paid $50,000 by the union to go in and organize the first Starbucks up in Western New York, up in Buffalo, and then she moved on, and she never told Congress when she was testifying about how outrageous the workplace was. She never said that she was being paid by the union to do this job.
Right. So I guess my question is, because I really think that so let me get back to my question, because I can't figure out what I want to say here. How do you know what store is a union store and what store's not a union store? I mean, if I were a Jew right now, first of all, if I were a Jew, I wouldn't go to Starbucks at all. I'd go to Dunkin' Donuts, which is better coffee anyway. But I don't want to go in and support and financially support somebody who wants to wipe out Israel. I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, well, first of all, Vic, as I mentioned, it's basically between 1% and 2% of the stores that have Starbucks logos out front are unionized, or at this point have elected to be unionized and are negotiating contracts. So, obviously, that's not the primary, that's not the only thing that would symbol or signal there might be a problem. But the bottom line is this: it's 1% to 2% of the Starbucks stores. And again, Starbucks has pushed back dramatically against it, against this statement by the union, and they continue to try to help their employees focus on the workplace and how to make the place a better place to work and a place that's profitable not only for the company but for the employees as well. So I don't think you can know. Vic, I can probably tell you. I can do some research if you want to talk offline. I can give you a hint, because they have to file petitions with the National Labor Relations Board. That's sometimes kind of hard to look up. But yeah, it's between 1% and 2% of the stores right now that are in that situation. Obviously, other stores are working that way. But then again, there are stores that are trying to decertify the union because these baristas have decided that what the union said and what they're doing are completely opposite things. And then, of course, if you're a Jewish barista and you see
no kidding,
and you're associated with the union,
no kidding. So my first concern is the St. Louis metropolitan area. I mean, I know people listen to us, all over the country, but we are based in St. Louis here. So when we're done, if you want to shoot Ken a message on if any stores in the St. Louis area are unionized, and we'll just tell our Jewish listeners not to go there anymore.
Yeah,
and also,
or at least alert them to it.
Well, right, make your own decision. But why would they? Ken, why would you buy coffee from me if I wished you were dead?
I agree with you, Vic, but right now in New York, you've got people who are Jewish who are actually protesting against other Jews, saying that Hamas is fine. You need to stop hurting the Palestinians.
And they vote for Democrats, which is
crazy. Yeah.
So it's not just stores either, because this is why I think in a lawsuit, Starbucks really has to, bring out the big guns, because if you go to a supermarket, Deerberg's here in St. Louis, there's every kind of Starbucks coffee you can get in K-cups, you can get it in ground coffee, you can get it in beans. I mean, if that's going to hurt the sales of Starbucks, and they are supporting Israel, then I don't think that's fair either, and that should be part of the lawsuit.
Well, that's right. And obviously Starbucks has their own legal department, and they're probably weighing any options they may have. But they did strongly condemn the union statement, quote unquote, using the Starbucks Workers United Union as the platform for that. And I again, to Ken's point, I'm not sure whether or not there's actual litigation, but yeah, certainly making them aware and putting out a statement, a strong statement, opposing what the union did, quote, on behalf, I'm using my finger quotes here, Vic, on behalf of Starbucks employees. The union does that stuff all the time, and they need to get called out about it, and they don't think people will, because most of corporate America's, they're trying to solve problems, and they're kind of afraid, and they don't take difficult stands that most consumers would like them to take, I think. I mean, you saw that with other companies like Target and others that were doing things that, all of a sudden people realized what was going on and saying, hey, I don't need to shop there anymore. And that changes the behavior of companies for sure.
And getting back to, why right to work even exists. If a Jewish barista has to go to work at a union shop where that union supports Hamas over Israel, that's why right to work is there to begin with, right?
That's exactly right. And that's the simple concept of right to work. We try to protect your ability to maintain your political, religious, philosophical rights, as opposed to the conflict between your workplace rights. When you're forced to associate with a private organization that can speak for you, in the public domain, and say, we represent these workers and this is a position that we take, I mean, that's outrageous. And the compulsion and the force that comes from not only taking away your right to speak for yourself and associate with who you choose to associate with, then to add insult to injury, in 23 states like Missouri, you can be forced to pay for that forced association.
Oh, my God. All right.
That's why it's ridiculous.
So we have a listener who wants to chime in here. His name is Sean. He's a great patriot. He's a veteran. He gets involved in elections here locally. Sean, good morning. You got about a minute. Make it count.
Hey, good morning, Vic. Just a heads up, that Starbucks right there at Hampton and 40 just unionized about 8 months ago.
Wow. Hampton and 40.
I saw all the little rainbow-haired leftists out there with their signs from the We Want Better Wages for doing nothing. So, yeah.
All right. Well, maybe here's what we're going to do, Sean. Thanks for calling, by the way. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
No worries, bud. Bye.
Here's what we should do. We should call the Starbucks at Hampton and 40 and say, hi, are you unionized? Are you for Hamas? I'm never coming there. We should everybody should call there just to say that. Don't even step in. All right, Mark, we got to run. I'm sorry, but thank you so much for not stiffing us today and playing buck with Fat Albert. We appreciate that.
All right, Vic. But sorry, Ken. Sorry, Vic. I apologize. I'll get that album out to you right away.
If you weren't a good friend, we wouldn't give you crap about it. Right?
Thanks. All right.
Mark Mix, president of the National Right to Work Committee, and I love that he loves Bill Cosby.
I know.